Hello, welcome to Dual Credit U.S. History A, Unit 3. Okay, this is seriously one of my favorites. I spent an entire year learning about the West, and I think that the West, well, I know that the West has a major part to play in the history of the United States, and you will understand more of why I think the West is so important as we go on to especially the Civil War, because the West is really why the Civil War happened. And I'll explain. Anyway, so I actually spent an entire year when I was a brick and mortar teacher talking about the West with my other teacher friends. And so I have a lot of passion for the West. Okay, so first of all, this I'm going to show you the travel log because that is your project for this unit, and I really, really want you to be thinking about it um, because I think it's really super, super duper important that you get this in your brain right before this unit even starts. Okay, so the deal is for the travel log that the year is 1850. Remember that the Civil War started in 1860, so that's a pretty important year. And you are going to travel around America and record what you learn through your travels. You must use at least 4 means of transportation to travel through 2 of the cities listed before in each of the 3 areas. So, 3 areas are Northeast, South, and West. Look at a map of various time periods, and I'll show you a good map to plot your journey. First, note the various natural and man made ways these cities were connected. Then, figure out which modes of transportation you will use to travel from one place to the next. Mark your itinerary on a map, which will be used in your log. You can present your travel log any way, okay? Paper, presentation, flipbook, video, whatever, all right? So, before you start your travel log, you need to decide who you are, where you're from, and the purpose of your journey. Possibilities, a list of possibilities follows. Um, and some of them, um, anyway, really cool stuff. You could be an abolitionist, a congressman, a pro-slavery politician, or an anti-slavery politician, a temperance organizer, an itinerant preacher, a newly arrived immigrant, a land speculator, a railroad developer, all of this, okay? And tell me why it is that you are traveling, all right? So, and then these are some cities that you can visit, okay? Please remember that travel in the 1850 was a lot different than travel now, okay? You're not going to complete this entire trip in a week or two, okay? This is like several months. All right. I don't need you in your travel log to tell me about every day that you're there, but I need you to tell me where you're going and how you get there. And I'm going to show you the means of transportation in just a second. Okay. Here's some information about traveling in 1850. A really, really good source is right here. Ah, dang it. That's not my good source. My good source is right here, hopefully. Okay, so this is a really, really good source, and this is a copy of a book that I used to have in my classes. Okay, and it goes through Louisiana Territory, Louisiana Purchase. That's important with the West. Lewis and Clark expedition. That's kind of interesting to see. if you're interested in what happened there. War of 1812, Indian resettlement. We'll talk a little bit about that. Exploration opens the West. So these are the different trails that you could take to go to the West, and it has dates with them as well. And one of my favorite is these are steamboats and canal boats and how they are available. So you want to look at this. These are canals and how they all worked, okay? Because that's going to want to be a way that you travel. This one I think is really super important to look at. Mismatched railroads, okay? And you can see that you can't just ride a train from Baltimore to Salt Lake. Okay, that didn't happen until 1890 that the railroads were all completed. Okay, so you can do railroads over on this side, but sometimes you have to be a little bit more, um, a little bit different with them. Okay, this is America expanding. That doesn't really have anything to do with it. Um, anyway, these are some more trails west and trails through Washington and stuff like that. So, and then this is stuff on immigration if you choose to be an immigrant. So, really, really good information. Please use the atlas, okay? Because that's going to help you a lot, okay? Um, and then I want you to discuss at least two of the topics listed below. Include a drawing or sketch of something that you see in each region that you visit. I would probably do one in each city. So in the northeast, these are things that you want to see. In the south, these are things that you want to see. And if you want to do something else, let me know. I'm totally game for stuff like that. In the west, these are the things that you want to see. So tell who you are, where you're from, purpose of your journey, provide your date and time, and make sure that you write as vividly as possible. Okay, I want to feel like I'm traveling with you in 1850. Okay, um, and maybe at the end, go ahead and provide your viewpoint. Tell me a comparison. Tell me what you thought of your entire trip. Okay, please include works cited as well. And I will also include a list of other sources that you might use. So that is that. Okay. So for Unit 3, Lesson 11 is about Jacksonian democracy. And Jackson was a different kind of a guy. He was a different president a lot because he wasn't from Virginia. He was actually from the West. I believe he was from Kentucky, which now we don't think of as the West, but at the time it was definitely the West. Okay. So with lesson 11, I'm going to have you do a discussion guide and a discussion post about a political cartoon. And let me show you the political cartoon right here. So this is called Born to Command, okay? And it talks about King Andrew the First. Now, this is for Andrew Jackson, okay? And this is this is when he was president. So it was like the 1820s, okay? Remember that the Revolutionary War happened in 1776 is when it started, okay? So it wasn't too long before, okay? So having Andrew Jackson with a scepter and a crown and a robe like this, it's not a good depiction right there, all right? so remember that this is definitely, there's a lot of bias here. Um, and there's a lot to unpack here. Okay. And that's why I love political cartoons, because they go through and unpack a lot of really cool information. All right. Then lesson 12 is about Texas and the West. And we all know that we really love Texas, right? It talks a lot about fur trapping as well. And the fur trappers and the mountain men really did a lot to explore the West, after Lewis and Clark, who, oh my gosh, theirs was huge, right? But the fur trappers did a lot to explore the West. And then lesson 13 is about the Mexican American War. Okay. And you're going to talk about, remember the Alamo. You're going to talk about what happened during the Mexican American War. Another important thing is that you're going to learn about manifest destiny. All right. So I'm going to have you do a discussion guide about manifest destiny. And you're going to look at this political cartoon. Like I said, I love political cartoons, and there's so much to unpack with this one too. Okay, so if you look at this cartoon, you can see that this woman is traveling west. Okay, and I believe her name. Let's see. And her name is Columbia. And she is the female figure of America who leads America into the West and into the future. And she's carrying values of republicanism, which is not a political party, okay? It's just the idea that we all get to vote, and progress, and she's clearing native people and animals, and she's going through to the west. Okay, so you can look at this and you can see that she is taking the light from the east to the west. You can see all of these people that are going to the west. She's carrying the telephone wires, and you can see that the railroads are going to the west, that the pioneers are going to the west, that the stagecoaches and the wagon trains are going to the west. So there's also a lot to unpack there with her. Okay, now lesson 14. Okay, so there we go. Starts about the abolitionist movement. And like I said, a really big reason that the Civil War started was because of the West, okay? People in the Northeast, and this is an important thing to remember for your travel log, people in the Northeast were not really so much anti-slavery as we think that they were, okay? They just didn't want slavery to move to the West, okay? They kind of knew that it was going to die out anyway, all right? One of the things that really started the Civil War was the Missouri Compromise. Now, we think it's so great that we have the West now, and we're looking at it and we're organizing it. But with every new state that came into the Union, that made it so that the senators and even the House of Representatives were not even, okay? And that caused a lot of controversy. So you'll learn about that. You'll learn about the Underground Railroad and what happened with that. Uncle Tom's Cabin. This is another good map of the Missouri Compromise and the free states and the slave states and what all was going on with everything. Okay. Lesson 15 is about sectional conflict. And there, as you learned clear back in Unit 1, and this is why I had you do the comparison between different colonies. Okay, there were differences between each place that you lived. All right, and this resulted in some sectional conflict that happened. Once again, please remember that the people in the Northeast weren't really anti-slavery. Okay, they were anti taking it west, but they kind of knew that it was going to die out anyway. And they also believed that slaves weren't really people. Okay, here I have a picture of Dred Scott, and he was involved in a very famous Supreme Court case known as the Dred Scott case, which was where he was a slave. His owner died, and his owner died when they were in the North. Okay, so he sued for his freedom, right? And it went clear to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided that he could not sue because he was not a person. Okay, remember the 3/5 compromise. Remember that every slave is considered to be 3/5 of a person. So the idea was that he was not person enough to even pursue the idea of suing for slavery. So anyway, I just wish that I could help you to understand that, I mean, of course now we are all anti-slavery, right? Like we know that it's a bad thing. But back then it wasn't so much known. Okay. So it's really important that you understand that. Anyway, if you have any questions about the travelogue or any of the discussion boards or the discussion guides or anything, please let me know. Okay. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.